So this is another episode in the real Wargamer, and the adventure continues. So Moscow to Stalingrad, decision in the east, by Earl Zimke. In the conclusion chapter, from the conclusion chapter, at Moscow. On 5 December 1941, the Soviet reserves and the weather transformed what would, in any event, have been a most unsatisfactory ending to the German 1941 campaign into a disaster. The United States' entry into the war made Germany's defeat inescapable if the German force could not overcome the Soviet Union before the American power came into play, and that they could not have done after 5 December, and that they could not have done after 5 December 1941. Germany would not have done more thereafter than to keep a strategic initiative out of Soviet hands, and it failed at that on 19 November 1942. The battles of Moscow and Stalingrad were indeed the radical Povorot and the radical Parolom of the war in the East. The first terminated Germany's bid for world power. The second put the Soviet Union on the road to a full share in the victory and to superpower status. So I'm playing a Combined Arms Combat Operations 1939 to 1970s, SPI 1974 Strategy and Tactics magazine game. First time I'm really playing it, or really trying to actually play it fully, other than a aborted first attempt. So this is the introductory scenario set in Russia. It's hypothetical scenario set in late April 1944. So unusually, the brown force is here, which is the Bravo side, is the German side, and the Soviets are the green side, or Alpha side, on the opposite side of the map, on the opposite side of the objective here, the one objective both sides are going for. This is the first move from the Germans, and obviously, this is combined arms, and the first thing that happens on both sides is they get they disperse. And they disperse because the infantry back here, all the infantry back here have a movement allowance of 3. And on the German side, the heavy armor and the light artillery both have movement allowances of 10. It's right there. Germans, heavy armor, movement allowance of 10. Infantry 3, light artillery 10. So, we'll see how this works. Before I proceed, I do want to make sure that I didn't miss some movement rule, because the only thing the roads are doing is just making it one movement point. So I guess I'm supposed to interpret that basically the roads are negating. So here's we're told that the scenario is mixed mode terrain. Clear is one movement point, and then over here all modes, road, one movement point. So I guess following a road through rough 1 or rough 2. Rough 1 is this hatch marks. Rough 2 is the solid, whatever that color is, the SPI brown. So I guess you're paying 1 to follow the road through those terrain. Obviously, no, it's the bridge, not the road. It's the bridge that negates the river. So yeah. Oh well, I'll make sure I didn't miss a movement rule, and then I'll continue on. I do want to make sure that I mentioned that at the start of the Bravo player turn, or the German turn, their command control level is 1. So, yep, their command control level was 1. So I drew a random chit from the chits labeled 0 through 9. I got an 8, and none of the German units that started back here were in a hex ending in 8. So no German units were adversely affected by loss of command control. Okay, so probably as long as I didn't miss any important rules, we'll go on to the next turn. So turn 2, alpha player turn. So that's the Russians here. Several things. First of all, I didn't miss any. I didn't miss any movement rules that is going to change this situation. So, so we'll see how this plays out. So here we got the Russian infantry falling way back. Russian light artillery here, and then light armor. Stacking is only 1. No exceptions. You can pass. You can pass freely through friendly units. By the way, 300. Well, I would say 300 meters. So these are 300 meter hexes, and I guess it does matter what the. I guess it does matter before I say anything about what the unit scale is. So let's see. It says the units represent companies and battalions of tanks or infantry. Artillery represented by battalions. So, now of course I'm not using World War II as a guide, but by modern contemporary standards, yeah, the scaling there, and I'm saying scaling with stacking. I think it could have been done better. But okay, if they're companies, let's see. Yeah, see. So here's the deal. If they are, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm not going to go into, because I'm not really using World War II as a guide. So never mind. Modern's modern, and this is World War II. Okay, but it is 300 meter hexes, and it says tanks and infantry units are companies and battalions. Not sure what that's supposed to mean exactly. And there's no stacking. Okay. The other thing is to proceed. Oh yeah, I do have to do, and I'll do it while I'm talking. So I'm grabbing my 10 numbered chits, and I'm going to draw blindly 2 chits for the Russians for command control. 7 and 8. Okay, so okay. Oh well, I guess this is the first time to do it. So the rules say let's go 7 and 8. So we got. Wow, this is a bit more looking than I thought. Why is that? Well, I know we have somebody. Okay, so this is to the last digit of the hex ID. 1, 0. So that's 0. That'd be 1, 0. All right, so it's none of those because they're all 4 or less. Back here we've got 0, 9, 9, 0. So it's not that group either. So it is just this one. 1, 0, 9, 0, 0. Oh, never mind. Oh, I know what I was. Yeah, I was guessing the progression of the hex ID number is wrong. So actually, there isn't anything. Well, well, let's say if this unit, if the last digit of the hex ID had been 7 or 8 here, the rules say you flip them over out of command control the whole turn. Nothing wrong at all with that. Nothing wrong at all with that mechanic, but I have my markers handy, so I can also just as easily put a X marker on them. Okay. Okay. So that's that. Movement. So the objective is out here in. So the objective is out here in the open, between this rough 2 terrain. Is that rough 2 terrain? Yep. Between the rough 2 terrain, this is rough 1 as well. So rough 1 and 2 here, and over here rough 1 and this river. Germans are coming from that direction, so the Germans have to either go around or go through river and rough 1 terrain. That's a very light, see the hash pattern there? It's pretty light. But the Russians have this on their side of the objective. There's probably no reason to go racing into the objective. We have 16 turns, if I remember correctly, so 16 turns, yeah. Now, the next thing that I'm thinking of anyways is the artillery. Because let's see, looking at the Russian light artillery has a range of 27. German does too. So 27 hexes. So I think I remember seeing. I'll go ahead and check it. So artillery is. I don't think there's any indirect fire is never used in combined arms. An attacking unit must have a direct line of. This is very interesting, but hey, I'll go with it. To the defending unit in order to fire upon it. So right away, this, I guess this light artillery can see. I mean, some of the Germans over there. So I guess I'll double check. Line of sight looks clear. Is there a line of sight range? Wow, I wonder if there's even line of sight range. If not, we'll start firing. Yeah. So I'm going to talk through this. Not sure exactly where this is headed. First I thought, the Russian light artillery here. Well, first line of sight. It says, an attacking unit must have a direct line of sight to the defending units to fire upon it. And yet I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait, and I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue on. But I cannot find line of sight anywhere. Anywhere. Does rough 1 and 2 block line of sight? Terrain effects on spotting? Maybe that's what it is. Alright, let's see. For a friendly unit to be able to fire at an enemy unit, the friendly unit must be able to see its target. Okay. I guess there are different meanings for spotting. Certain terrain features block line of sight. Rough 2 always blocks line of sight. Rough 1 blocks line of sight except in open terrain mode. Okay, that's not us. So rough 1 and 2 should block. So as I figured, this patch of rough 1 here blocks all those Russians there, but this light artillery can still see around it to the German tanks there. Okay. Line of sight is a perfectly straight line traced from center of the hex to center of hex. So started. All units may send into and out of one. Okay, so that's very basic. That's about as basic as it gets. So it is as I expected, and it is very basic. But I was wondering. So this is, well, I guess this is so far back, 1974, that they actually have a separate chapter called Terrain Effects. Maybe it makes more sense than usual because of the variable terrain map here. Okay, so then let's go on. So then I was thinking, well, range of 27 hexes. Does that mean that the Russian light artillery here can drop shells on the German heavy armor here? Right away, looking at the charts here, I mean the Russian light artillery has a hard attack strength. Hard attack strength. And let's use the definitions. Attack strength. This is the basic offensive combat strength of a unit when attacking a hard target. Okay, that's what I thought. So it's a 1. So it's a 1. So we're talking basic odds here. Very basic odds. So then we look at the German heavy armor has a defensive strength of 5, which is a hard defensive strength. So there is no range attenuation for artillery. So I guess that would be a 1 to 5 attack, which is not possible because you cannot conduct an attack at less than 1 to 1 odds. So that means that that the light artillery cannot conduct any effective attack against heavy armor, which of course makes perfect sense. But it also means that the light artillery, well, it looks like it can never, which is fine. I mean, I'm starting with the premise that the light artillery should be useless against the heavy armor. That is my starting premise. But I'm trying to understand in game terms, can it ever be? And I'm just talking game terms. I don't think it can. Okay, so now let's switch over to same light artillery firing against. This is what I don't understand. So light artillery against light artillery. Is now we switch to light attack strength soft is 10, and the defense strength of the light artillery is 1. That's, by the way, the same for both sides. Doesn't make a difference. So now we're talking 10 to 1, which soft attack strength, that's the highest column. So, and guaranteed to get a disruption. So we're saying by the way, we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're talking about 6 kilometers away. Light artillery in an hour is guaranteed to get a disruption on a light artillery unit. That seems weird. I guess I'm not going to think too much about it. Seems quite odd, though. It almost doesn't matter what the result is because it's what? It's 4 and 6 chances of getting a D3. So it seems really that seems odd. Yeah, I didn't even do my movement. I'll do my movement. I wanted to go right into how what's going to happen with shooting. Okay. The Russians, I have to keep pausing because I still think the brown force should be the Russians. They're going to move up. They're going to take advantage of this terrain, I guess, but it doesn't matter. I mean, they'll use this terrain, I think, to to concentrate again, but I mean, it's not going to help them because and the Germans have no reason to come over to them or vice versa, so, or at least not, I don't see a reason yet.